everyone. Welcome to the Baseball Brew Crew interview series. We are keeping baseball history alive, one craft beer at a time. Wherever you are watching or listening, please give us a like and a follow. If you love beer with your baseball, please tell a friend. Joining me is field correspondent and senior research analyst at the Baseball Brew Crew, Kevin Lyon. Thank you for joining us. Our guest today, Anna DiTommaso, the founder of BaseballBucketList.com, and Shane Barclay, the owner and operator of JapanBall.com. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
You're welcome. Thanks for having us.
So excited to be here. Thank you all.
Now, where are you joining us both from?
Go ahead, Anna.
I am just outside of Dallas, Texas, kind of closer to Fort Worth in a little town called Argyle. So closest ballpark to me is the ballpark in Arlington, now known as Globe Life Field.
Nice. And Shane?
I am in Santa Cruz, California, Northern California.
And what's the closest ballpark to you?
Closest ballpark would be San Francisco Giants, Oracle Park. Oakland A's are just about 10 minutes past that, so I'll count both of them. Gotcha.
So, Anna, you're living in Texas, but a Tampa Bay Rays fan. How did that come to be?
Yeah, it's an interesting story. So I was born and raised here, grew up a rabid Texas Rangers fan. This is the early 90s, so you got to think Rafael Palmeiro, Pudge Rodriguez, Juan Gonzalez, Rusty Greer, the phenomenal, talented team that never did anything, right? As I got into middle school, my dad ended up taking a job in the Sarasota area of Florida, so just about an hour south of Tampa. In 2008, the year after the Rays were the worst team in all of baseball, potentially, he decided we needed a season ticket package. It was a great year to be a season ticket holder for the Rays, obviously, their first World Series run. And I just, even though I left the Tampa Bay market, just never let go of the team. So can't shake them.
Wow, that's awesome. And tell me something. What is going to take for the Rays to get to the playoffs this year?
I don't know. It's a little bit of Rays magic. You know, that's what their specialty is. It's always the years that you think, I don't know, that they just surprise the heck out of everybody. So I think they're either going to be running the East or they're going to be in the basement. I think it's going to be either or this time around. We'll see.
In that division, you can win 83 games and almost be in the basement. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's for sure. And so Shane, did we talk about this when you were on as a guest before? Like, what is your favorite team and who are you passionate about?
I would say the Giants are my number one. I grew up going to A's and Giants games. Like, I was pretty much equidistant to both ballparks, and I would not consider it sacrilege to be fans of both teams, unless, I guess, if you're from Oakland or from San Francisco. I'm from Cupertino, which is just below both of them. So, it's kind of more Giants territory. Like, if I had to pick one, I'd do them. But growing up in, when I was like 12 playing Little League, like my baseball is just my everything in my whole life. Those were the Moneyball A's, and those teams are just so fun with Giambi and Tejada and the big three pitching staff and all those guys. So I couldn't help but love the A's as well. I've just held on to both of them. I consider them both my hometown teams.
So I have a question for both of you then. Anna, what happens when the Rangers are playing the Rays? I mean, start with you.
Yeah, the Rays, always and forever.
There you go.
Rays over the Rangers. I want the Rangers to do well as long as they are not playing the Rays, specifically when they're playing the Yankees or the Red Sox. I want them to do really well.
Yes.
I agree with that. Shane, so Giants, A's, when it's happening, do you lean a certain way or are you just hoping for the best?
Yeah, I pick and choose. Like I said, if I had to pick one, I'd go Giants, but I'm pretty circumstantial with, who needs to win more, what the season is looking like. And I'll just kind of pick in that way. And, if in a 4-game series, if they split 2-2, I'll be fine with that.
That's such a baseball answer, especially someone that's been around for a long time. You want to spread the wealth. And I grew up a St. Louis Cardinals fan. And when the Cubs won the World Series in 2016, I was like, good for them. That was not taken very well by the fan base very well. I'm just like, are you kidding me? It's like, it's great for baseball. And it's such you get to the point where I'd rather see like baseball history than history just for me. And Kevin, what about you? You've been an Angels fan most of your life, but you've actually fallen off of that a little bit here.
I mean that's it's something that happened in Texas with that the whole thing that happened. Oh gosh, you want me to really go on this? I was the whole Skylar Skaggs thing really made me not too happy with the Angels, to be honest. And I was, because it just seemed like they were just trying to just hide it away, trying to just not let it get out there too much, it seemed like. And at the same time, like, you know what? This obviously is a problem in baseball. They need to like get out there and nip this in the bud now, because he's obviously not the only pitcher who's getting, a lot of pain courses. These pitchers are pitching so hard, have to go year round, pitch a certain amount of innings every year. And I'm just, just worried about these guys' health. That's the main thing, And I'm a little bit more back on it now, but for a while there, between that and, not a fan of the owner. So I'm hoping they sell the team. So it might make me a little more optimistic.
Yeah,
they have signings.
They have two of the best players literally in baseball, and the stadium is half empty, or half full, or whatever you want to say. But I remember when, Kevin and I went on the USA trip your California leg of it. We went to the Dodgers and Angels, and one of the things that one of the people that was on the tour, they couldn't believe that Anaheim was half full with Ohtani playing, with and Trout was hurt at the time, I believe. So was he hurt or was he playing?
No, he played.
Okay, so the fact that the two best players in baseball were there, and it's like they're like, where is everybody? It's like I think there's a bigger problem in Anaheim. I mean, we could go like this is gonna be a whole another podcast.
Just know that by like August, if the Angels play like they usually play, you can get a ticket on like a StubHub or something like that for like $6 or $7.
Yes,
and if Ohtani's pitching, maybe 10. It's just like.
Yeah.
I could spend more on a minor league game. You know what I mean? Which is
It's got to be exciting with the team up for sale, right? I mean, with the Mets are a great example of how that can just completely change an organization. Yeah. And it's just such a clean, start. So I don't know. You got to hope you get someone good. Being an A's fan, also horrible ownership. It's like, I just would be so excited if the owner said, yeah, I'm going to sell this team. And then all of a sudden it's like, you could have the next version of the Mets or the Padres or whoever it is. And so I've got my fingers crossed that the Angels get someone good that really wants to do things right down there.
Yeah, because it'd be good for baseball, because, the fact that, people don't go see these guys on the road. We've talked about before, in baseball nowadays, there's not a must-see player. It's more, I don't think, really. I mean, you might have must-see teams, but it's based on just history. Like, people go see the Yankees, the Red Sox, or the Dodgers, maybe the Cardinals or the Cubs or whatever. But, then you go to, like, I don't know. I hate to say, I'm sorry to say Tampa Bay, but, you go to Tampa Bay, and I was like, they're a great team, but they're still, they're like Miami. They're not drawing,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like a Wander Franco is a perfect example. Like, an exciting young player, Julio Rodriguez. When I talk to, anybody and I say those two names, they wouldn't even know who I'm talking about. But if, baseball needs like a Steph Curry or a Tiger Woods that just transcends the game and really brings that. And I feel like that's been lost a bit in baseball right now. And I don't know what the quick fix on that is, but, again, another subject for a longer podcast, it's, because I had this discussion with someone. I was actually at Dodger Stadium one time, and I was coming back on the bus, and I was having this little kind of like spirited debate with someone. I'm just like at the time, like Bryce Harper had just signed this huge contract. I'm just like, my son doesn't care about Bryce Harper, and he's like, 20 years old, next generation of baseball, and like who's gonna step in and be the next person that transcends baseball. So. Again, another podcast entirely. So we'll definitely get back on that. But so I wanted to talk about especially a couple of things. I mean, you're both are collaborating on a tour that's very interesting, and we're super excited about just the possibilities of what you're doing. So tell us more about that.
Sure, I'll start off. So last year, as you guys know, because you joined us, we did a USA West Coast baseball tour, and that was Japan Ball's first USA baseball tour. We typically go to Japan, of course, but basically only international destinations historically. And basically because of COVID and not being sure where things were going to be international travel wise, I decided to do this USA West Coast tour, going up and down the whole West Coast, minor league games, major league games, independent league games, etc., just to make sure we could do something. And it was tons of fun. We had a great turnout at pretty much every stop. And we had some road trips. We had a couple flights, but it was just like it kind of felt like you're being in the minor leagues, riding around and going to games. And the feedback I got from our guests was we want to go to more minor league games. Our community is hardcore baseball fans. A lot of them have even been to all 30 big league parks, and anyone could figure out how to go to a major league game, and just it's in a big city and you just go. And then so they said, yeah, if I'm gonna go on a trip, more minor league would be interesting. So this year, coming out last year, I said I want to do this again, but I want to focus more on minor league games and have it be a little more of a unique trip. So I decided to focus on Washington State because it's beautiful in the summertime there. There's a really good baseball culture there. It's pretty underrated baseball culture. Like, they've been playing pro baseball for a long time. There's really interesting Japanese connection there, Japanese American teams. And then of course, guys like Ichiro who are playing in Seattle, but so I like that element as well. And then, I started Anna and I have become friends over the past year or so, and I love her podcast. I listen to every episode, and she always asks everyone what their number one baseball bucket list trip, or what's remaining on their baseball bucket list. And I don't know if you keep stats on that, Anna, but I think that the Alaska Midnight Sun game is probably the most common answer that's given. And I've been hearing about that game forever. And Anna was talking about, maybe doing something up there, and one thing led to another, and we decided, hey, let's add that onto our trip. We'll make it, Alaska it's a little bit of a stretch, I guess, to say Pacific Northwest, but I don't know. I guess it is the Pacific Northwest by definition. So we're just going with that. And so our Pacific Northwest trip is, Washington State, drive around the state, going to minor league and major league games, and then the Alaska Midnight Sun game. And I'll pass it to you because, that's really been your focal point, and it's, I know, number one on your baseball bucket list.
Yeah. So the Midnight Sun game was something I hadn't even heard of until about a year ago, when I want to give credit to a gentleman named Eric Profit. I'm not sure that he was the first to tell me about it, but for some reason his name is sticking in my head as, that's something that he had a chance to do. And for folks who don't know, I'm sure most people listening do know what the Midnight Sun game is, but it is on the summer solstice of every year. The Alaska Gold Panners play a game against a visiting team at, I believe the game starts at 10 o'clock local time, and they don't turn on the lights. And so, it's just, when he told me that, I was like, wait, what? Back up, start over. So I knew as soon as he told me, I was like, okay, that's it. That's going on the list. And then I don't know if people had heard that, or if it was starting to spread some other way, or if it was just that phenomenon where I started hearing about it more different places. But Shane's absolutely right. I would say number one on the baseball bucket list for just about everybody is all 30 ballparks, because it seems achievable and kind of, the obvious answer. But number two has got to be the Midnight Sun game. So as soon as I learned about it, I was like, gotta find a way to make it happen. And then who better to help put it all together?
Heck yeah.
Now, this Alaska League, it's one of those summer collegiate leagues. Am I correct?
Mm-hmm.
You know how many teams are in this league?
I'm not sure exactly,
many, right?
But the Gold Panners, the team in Fairbanks, the Gold Panners, actually they went independent from the league. They played in the league for a long time, and the Alaska League used to be one of maybe the strongest. I guess maybe the Cape Cod League was always the number one summer collegiate league, but I think Alaska was probably number two. Like Dave Winfield played up there, Mark McGuire played up there, and I won't try to make up and try to pretend like I know how many teams there were, but I know that the Gold Panners went independent to give them more flexibility with the schedule. But I mean, it's a legit league. As a college player, it's a really cool opportunity, and I know they still get quality talent up there.
And it's a wood bat league, or is okay? So it is like the Cape Cod League.
Yep.
Got it.
And this game's been going on for over a century, if I remember right, from seeing a picture talking about it.
Yeah, I think 1908, when I was doing some research on it, was like the first recorded game. And several former or Hall of Famers played there in that game formerly. Like, nothing's coming to mind now that I put myself on the spot. But yeah, a lot of rich history. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. And
Michael, have you ever been up in like the Washington area during the summer? Or I mean, Shane has, but Anna or Michael, have you ever been up in Washington State during the summer? It's weird.
Yeah,
it's weird.
I was going to say
that at 9:00, there's no light. It's like lights aren't coming on when I go to a game at Everett. It's like, when's it get dark up here in June?
So I have experience with that. So you're wearing a Seattle Pilots hat. And so like when I was in Seattle seeing the Mariners, it was the first time I ever went to Safeco Field. And or the T-Mobile Field now. It was Safeco at the time.
I was hoping you were going to say the Kingdom.
Yeah, I wish I went to the Kingdom. I wish I went to all the domes. Everybody says there was a miserable. I would love to do it, but yeah, I went to. I had tickets. I think it was like the first night we went. We sat behind the plate, and not kind of off the plate. Actually, my girlfriend talks about it because she got hit in the leg with a foul ball came over and hit her in the leg. Robinson Cano. She still has heat with Robinson Cano about it. And so when I told her he was suspended, she's all good. Whatever. But I said if you let me sit on the aisle, I would have got that. But so she so the second day, we actually had seats, and it would have been in right field. There's like this kind of area where it's like this kind of maybe 3-tiered level. And I'm like, they were super cheap. And I'm just like, oh, this is great. I mean, just a different angle. We can see all this stuff. What I noticed was the sun was literally in our eyes, even at night. And I was like, now I know why these seats were so cheap. And it's something I never would have considered. I mean, like you think the sun goes down at some point, but in the Northwest, it's different. And so, like, I can see how they can have a midnight game because of that.
And I think even before I knew the game, I remember I was watching on Comedy Central a show called Insomniac with Dave Attell. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, Dave Attell.
On this show is this comedian they would show footage of him on the show. Then the rest of the show is just him walking the streets of whatever city he's in, just causing a ruckus, doing whatever. And all of a sudden it's like the graphic says 12:30 a.m. and it's in Alaska, and it's just completely broad daylight. And I'm just like, what's going on? There's people just walking around like it's the middle of the day. And I'm just like, this is so weird. I'd like to experience that just to see what it's like to be out there or something like that. And they're like, oh, there's a game too? Yeah, I mean, I have to consider that.
If you think that's weird, imagine being there when it's the inverse in the wintertime.
Oh gosh, yeah, no, I'm okay at that.
No, we got thrown off by having a 6 a.m. interview yesterday, so I can't imagine what all this time shift.
Michael, you were there once in October, and I don't know what it would have been like then. I don't know if it was getting dark at like 3 or 4 in the afternoon. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's crazy. So no, and so. Are there still spots available to get in on this?
Yeah, totally, 100%. We do expect the Alaska portion to sell out. Like we're selling it you can book the Washington portion, the Alaska portion, or the whole thing. And we have a ton of interest for Alaska. We reserved a block of tickets in hotel rooms. Like Fairbanks in the summer, regardless of being there for solstice or for this game, it's completely full. Alaska is amazing in the summertime. So it's like once you reserve your rooms, like you can't add any more. And so we got what we could get our hands on, and the game sells out as well. So, so yeah, we expect that to fill up.
You know how big that the stadium is where Fairbanks plays? I imagine it's not. I can imagine just a couple thousand people or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely really small. I don't know what their attendance is, but they bring in tons of temporary seating for this game.
Oh wow!
Because it's normally just like the little grandstand, behind home plate, but they bring in bleachers all up and down both lines, and then there's a ton of standing room as well, because they try to just pack as many people in as they can. And of course, it's like their big money maker all year for this game, and so yeah, we have spots on both tours filling up, but still available. We just put them on sale this past week. So yeah, if anyone's listening, I recommend to jump on now. You can go to either of our websites, mine's japanball.com, Anna's baseballbucketlist.com. We have a list you can sign up for. We call it the no obligation list, and you can just sign up, put your name in, and it just means like I'm considering it. I'm not quite sure yet. Or, of course, you can just go ahead and book right now as well.
Awesome. And I'll definitely add that to this recording as well, so people can get straight to it. And I noticed like in the USA trip that we went on with you, the great thing that you do also is you go to some of the places that people may not even know about or go to, because usually people would just go to the game, but you go to a lot of landmarks in places that places of interest. For baseball, for Japan. I noticed that when we went to Dodger Stadium, you went to a place. I've been going there for 20 odd years. I never went to the place that we actually met at when we were there. And it was, are you going to be doing a similar thing for the Alaska or this tour?
Yeah, 100%. We, of course, baseball is the focus of our tours, and I want to make sure that baseball is kind of the guiding light, but I also want to, what I always say, especially like going to another country, is like you experience a new culture through baseball, or, and the Pacific Northwest and definitely Alaska have their own unique culture as well. So that still applies. But, we're experiencing a new area through baseball, and we always try to incorporate unique landmarks, some of the ones that are obvious, but I try to do ones that are not so obvious. And then food is a big part of traveling for me. So we always try to incorporate good places to eat and drink. And, if people are going to pay to go on a tour, and Anna and I are going to be leading the way as the guides, like we want to give them, the experience that we want, that's not something that they would be able to do on their own. And maybe they would do it on their own, but they wouldn't, know to do the exact way that we're going to do it. And we trust, having done this enough, that we can bring people places where they're going to be really pleasantly surprised. And like you said, Michael, you've been going to Dodger Stadium forever, and you didn't know they had a Japanese stone lantern in a Japanese garden, right? So,
same here. I've been going
we try to do those sort of things. And meet with interesting folks along the way as much as possible as well.
Yeah, I just found out there was an article about Dodger Stadium. I guess they have this. It was kind of like in that area as well, that they had somebody who basically they have like almost all of the California indigenous plants in that area. And I was like, I had no idea. It's like, it's mind blowing the things that are all in that area. And when you dive deep in and you get nerdy, like we love to do, I mean, we that was everything that we were passionate about. Like the fact that we found something that we weren't even looking for, that we wouldn't even known about had it not been for you, is even better. It made it a better experience overall. So we can't put it over enough how much we enjoyed our trip with you.
I'm glad you feel that way. And I actually tried to organize a tour with the groundskeeper that does the native garden. Like they have like their own Dodger Stadium Botanic Garden, but They only do it on non-game days and certain times. So
yes, okay.
That makes sense.
So it was you. I think we may have talked about this, and I looked it up, and then there was an article, I think in the LA Times, I was talking about it as well. So it's like, oh, that's amazing. That would have been even a better experience. But again, do you find that logistically, like sometimes you have things planned and you just can't make them happen, and it must be such a letdown because you're like, that would have been amazing had that happened, but you can only do what you can do.
Well, the trick is, the guests don't know what they don't know. So there's always certain things where I'm like, just kicking myself, and especially, depending, in all of our tours. And I just try to, I don't tell any of our guests. I'm like, we were just this close to being able to meet so-and-so or to go.
Right.
And if they don't, so that's why I try to incorporate surprises into our trips so that there's no, you never know what might happen, but then at the same time, you don't want to let anyone down by,
That's good policy. Anna, I wanted to also, I wanted to know more about Baseball Bucket List, and I signed up for my profile, and I once I got into it, I go, this is going to take my week because I'm going to go in here and check off everything that I've done. But how did you come up with this concept?
Oh, it's a long story. It starts back in 2008 when my dad bought that season ticket package. It had been a decade plus that we had been going to games since we had gone to baseball games together. And so that kind of helped us reconnect and, get a little closer. And so during that year, we were having so much fun with the Rays. They were doing phenomenal that we decided we were going to take a trip up to the Northeast, and we hit those 5 ballparks up there. We did Old Yankee Stadium. We did Shea Stadium in both of their last years. We did Citizens Bank. We did Washington, and then we did Boston. We did Fenway, all in one 2-week stint.
Wow.
And we're sitting at the last game, and I kind of look over at my dad, and I'm like, I think we should do this for all 30 parks. Because, at that point, we had both been to I think that would have been 7.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, yeah, we should do it. And so I was still in college at that time and kind of got to thinking, if we're talking about this, surely we're not the only ones with this idea. So I bought a domain name back in 2012, baseballbucketlist.com. And every year kind of begrudgingly paid the $9 to keep renewing it and kicking myself about how, I had done nothing with it. And then in 2020, when COVID hit, I was home all the time. And so I was like, all right, now's the chance. So started the site, and then the podcast followed shortly after. And it's just been, a phenomenal amount of fun. Just the people I've gotten to meet, the stories I've heard, the things that it's kind of opened the doors to. So yeah, that's the origin story. And for folks that don't know, it's a community-based website, and there's now a podcast that goes along with it, but it's a free membership to sign up. You get a personalized ballpark tracking map where you get to pin all the different parks you visited. And there's a tool that lets you build your baseball bucket list and kind of check things off as you cross them off.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I said, when I went through this whole thing, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm looking at all the things to check off, and I'm looking at yours specifically, and I'm just like, Major League doubleheader that you've been to, minor league doubleheader. I've actually done both of those. You said you witnessed a triple play. That's pretty awesome. Where did that happen?
That was here in Texas, and it was a gentleman who had come on the show, and he lives in St. Louis, and said, I'll be down in Dallas next month. Let's go see a Rangers game. And they were playing the Angels. It was just a blowout. And then all of a sudden it happened. And as it's unfolding, I'm like, oh my God, there's no outs. And we're about to see a triple play, and the catcher's running, and he's the slowest man I've ever seen. And there it was, so just one of those things. You never know what you're going to see at the ballpark.
That's 100% true. I always tell this one. This is one of my favorite ones, and I don't think anybody ever will see this ever again. I was at Dodger Stadium when Fernando Tatis hit 2 grand slams in 1 inning. off the same picture, Chan Ho Park. So that'll never happen again because there will never be a time when someone will face someone with the bases loaded after they have already given up a grand slam. So we were wondering why he was still in there anyway, but it was interesting. But and then you also threw out the first pitch for the shirt that you're wearing.
That's right. The Cleburne Railroaders of the American Association. So that was last summer, and it was a blast. Very nerve-wracking, but I did some training, you know. I went out in the backyard and threw the ball around and didn't embarrass myself, which is the goal. So
did you actually pitch from the mound, or because I've been told don't go on the mound if you're not good, stay on the bottom of the mound.
Yeah, I threw from the mound, but not from the rubber. So kind of like think front of the mound. But yeah, they let me do it from the mound. So it was a little nerve-wracking, but it worked out all right.
You still feel like, oh, I got this, no problem. It's just like then next thing you know, you're being on Sports Center.
Yeah.
And
I always wondered about that too, because I always say that I bet the grounds crew tells you, or whoever's organizing it, they don't want you to be on the mound.
Yeah.
Actually, I bet that's a thing as well.
Yeah, I think so.
Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
But
this is an indie team, and so they've it's one of those weird fields. They're very popular in college where it's literally 100% turf, and the only dirt on the entire field is on the mound. So I think maybe they're very excited to have something to do.
They bring out that
one person who probably is an intern who probably also is working in the clubhouse, most likely.
Yes.
Yeah, that is too cool. So
where is Cleburne at in relation to where you are in Texas?
It is just about an hour and 10 minutes south of me. So actually just the town over from the town that I was born and raised in. So my dad used to work there way back decades ago. So it's got a little soft spot in my heart for it.
Nice. And it being the railroaders, I know that the Round Rock Express, they have the train that goes through, and they actually play the Johnny Cash song, I hear a train a-coming. And do they do a similar thing? Is that something that's with that?
There's a lot of trains. They like to say they've cornered the markets on trains in baseball. So I don't know if Nolan Ryan and his Express would take issue with that. But yeah, they actually play. It's called the Cleburne Depot, and the Katy Railroad, which is a huge historical thing here in Texas. The ballpark is built on the site of the old train depot. So lots of really cool history in that building. And again, a team that's been around since the early 1900s. So in one way, shape, or form, the Railroaders or a different indie team. So a lot of history there. So you should check it out for sure.
Oh, I actually will be in Texas, I believe. I was going to say in March, potentially. And I think it's right before, but I think it's right before. I really want to see the minor league teams there. Kevin and I will tell you, it's Major League Baseball. I like Shane was saying, it's it's very easy, accessible, and stuff like that. But to go to the minor league and indie stadiums are really what our passions are now. We definitely support the little guys. And although a lot of them are getting super big now, I mean, when I went to the Round Rock Express, it was way bigger than I expected. But then when I went to Corpus Christi, even though it was, a smaller team, Whataburger Field was pretty robust and still very cool. And I went to San Antonio as well. So, but my goal is to go to
Frisco.
Frisco Rough Riders. I definitely want to go to El Paso. I'd love to go to as well.
Space Cowboys.
Land. And actually that brings us to another issue. How do you feel about the Savannah Bananas? I actually may be in Sugar Land when the Savannah Bananas were playing.
Is this a question for me? In regards to
do you like it? Yeah, it's the Harlem Globetrotters of baseball. How do you feel about it?
I think there's room for both. My perspective has always been you've got basketball fans and you've got fans of the Globetrotters, and if it's a dad that can take his kid to see the bananas play that, strikes someone's love of baseball, then I'm all for it. So I'd say it's not baseball, but I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I'm curious to see, with them leaving the Coastal Plains League, kind of, they're going full in on this banana ball concept. I know Jesse Cole is a marketing mastermind, so I'm curious. I'll be watching very closely as to, what's next for the Savannah Bananas, but I have not seen them in person. I would love to do it. And maybe if they're coming down to Sugar Land, maybe that's my chance.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know where else they're going to Texas. Shane, they are playing at San Jose Municipal Stadium this year, though.
Yeah. I got on the list. I got on the list to buy group tickets. And I had an email saying, sorry, we sold out before I even had a chance to buy them. So it must have been sponsors or whoever bought those up, or maybe season ticket holders. I think they're going to have some single game tickets, but I am dead set on going. It's funny that you asked that question, Michael, about, what you think about them, because when I first heard about them, they kind of, I started seeing them on, social media, and I saw some of our people in our community went, and I didn't really know what it was all about. Then I started seeing it on the news, and I didn't really I still didn't really know what it's all about. I saw some funny clips, and I was like, this is awesome. There's like this minor league team that everyone loves going to. And I didn't think anything of it. And then I started learning more, and I, heard some interviews with Jesse Cole and watched, and I was like, this sounds so fun. I want to go. And then for the first time, a few months ago, I was with a guy. I still work for Major League Baseball and the World Baseball Classic. So I'm working with a guy who's, very old school. He's been in the game for like 40 years or whatever. And he was like, those guys are a disgrace. I can't believe that they're making a mockery of our game. I was like, whoa, I didn't even know that anyone felt that way,
Yes.
Lighten up a little bit, first of all. But second of all, no, these guys are great. They're making baseball more accessible. They're making, I shouldn't say it's accessible. It's impossible to get a ticket, but they're making it appealing.
That's actually true.
They're making it appealing to a much wider base of people. And there's this, whether, how real it is or not, there's this fear that baseball is waning in popularity. And, if that gets someone out to the ballpark that never wouldn't have gone before, then I'm all for it. And, we talked about before, we went live, Bob Bavasi, who founded Japan Ball, and he founded the Everett Aqua Sox. He also started a summer collegiate league that had a lot of it was kind of like the XFL of the collegiate league, like lots of different rules. And he always said baseball is dinner theater. That's his line. He said, you show up and you want to be entertained, and you eat and drink while you're doing it. And at the end of the day, we all love baseball, the four of us here, as much as anyone. But it's entertainment, and it's in the entertainment industry, and the athletes are performers. And so I think the Savannah Bananas are awesome. And I don't think they're making a mockery of it. I think that they're making it fun. And I can't wait to see them. I hope I get to go when they come through San Jose. I got to figure that out on how to get into the ballpark.
Yeah, same here, because locally here, they're only playing 2 games at Cucamonga, I believe. And Michael and I are hoping we're going to see him in Arizona end of March, so we're going to hope for the best there. We got 2 chances to do it, so we'll see.
I actually I was proactive enough to get on the list, and actually we were I was on the banana boat right when they started doing. I got shirts for everybody. I was like, I'm all in on this. As I learned more about it, I was actually going to be in the kind of Myrtle Beach, like a Savannah area at that time, and I was going to try and go see them, but it was super hard to go see them. And they were playing their rivals, which is the Macon Bacon. And I'm like, how can you not love the Savannah Bananas and Macon Bacon? Everything about it was really fun. And that's when they kind of started doing all this kind of, promotion on stuff. And I can understand why people may not like it. But the thing that I say, it's like more people are talking. Well, they also have a lot more exposure now that they've been on ESPN Plus and that type of thing. But for instance, I always look at my son, I go, he doesn't care anything about modern baseball, But then when he would always get the Savannah Banana stuff on TikTok, and because he would follow baseball, and he goes, what is this thing that's going on? So it's like, it has an effect on it. It's like there's people having fun with baseball, and and he likes going to baseball because of me. And I don't want to be like the old man that keeps baseball alive. It's like we joke about it. We keep baseball alive one craft beer at a time. But sometimes we feel like, it's us old men that are keeping baseball alive just by talking about the old days and how it was fun. And I think it does need a little bit of loosening up and having fun again.
Yeah. I'm just interested to see what is going to be the pattern of this. It's going to be like the Globetrotters, where they always play the Washington Generals. Is there just one team that just travels with the Bananas and they play them every day? And I'm like, okay, there's going to be some shtick every game, I'm sure. It's going to be just like, I don't know if any of you ever saw the Globetrotters. I mean, I did when I was a kid, and I'm going, all right, and then you see it on TV and you're like, oh, it's a lot of the same bits, but still it's fun. That's the main thing that matters,
Yeah, exactly. So you're doing a Japan trip this year? And where are you going on that?
Yeah. So we have the Alaska trip in June, and then our next trip after that will be Korea and Japan. Korea will just be a long weekend basically in Seoul. It'll be, I'm going to finalize schedule here soon, but it'll just be a weekend before or after the Japan trip. That'll be likely in September. And in our Japan trip, typically, or I shouldn't say typically, always encompasses a full version of the tour in which you would see all 12 Nippon professional baseball ballparks as depicted on your beautiful shirt there.
Yes.
So yeah, show it out. There we go. So if you do the whole tour, which, a handful of people will do every year, it's definitely a big commitment to do it, because over the course of maybe 15, 16 days, maybe a little bit more, depending how the schedule works out, you go to all 12 ballparks, seeing a home game of every team in the league. Most people will do a portion of that. We'll divide it into 3 segments. One, it's kind of like the main tour, which you see 7 or 8 games, or you can add on segments to that to kind of whatever time you have to, obviously going to Japan and traveling all over the place for even a week is a stretch for some. So we try to make it so that anyone can choose the tour segment that makes the most sense for them, including a newer thing. We've done it once before, and I'm looking forward to having it again. Just a Tokyo only version. I mean, Tokyo is an incredible city, and there's 5, you could really say 6 teams that you can do, see home games in and stay at the same hotel in Tokyo. So, that's also an option if you just want to explore Tokyo and not be, traveling all over the place and packing and unpacking your luggage, which is fun in its own right for its own reasons. But some people just want to, get to know the city a little bit more. Of course, we spend a lot of time in Tokyo on the traditional tour as well, because like I said, there's 5 or 6 teams there. So that's the tour we're offering. And we haven't been able to do it since COVID hit. So our last tour was 2019, which was our 20th year of doing it. Japan Ball started in 1999. So I'm itching to get back out there and do, that's our flagship tour. And it's really the one that makes us who we are. So it's a blast. Anyone who's a baseball fan, and even if you're not, it's kind of like Savannah Bananas in a way of like, you don't have to like baseball to go to a game in Japan and you're going to be blown away. It's unlike anything you experience in the US. And any baseball fan, well, I always say, like, you recognize the game on the field, but that's about it. Everything else looks different. I just can't wait to get back out there. And just because, I kind of was starting to talk about what we're offering. Then after that, we will have our Dominican Republic tour in November as well. So that's our schedule for the year for 2023.
And if you haven't, you should also check out the Japan Ball like Instagram, Twitter. This like just seeing the trips, like, oh my gosh, like just saw you guys went to Europe and the Dominican Republic. Like, this is such a unique experience, and it's just like, oh my gosh, my God, start saving my pennies for one of these.
Yeah, our trips are amazing. Like, you know, I'm always the main guide, and I just can't get enough of it. You know, I love to go every year, and you know, you mentioned saving your pennies, and you know, it's a big investment in time and money to go on a trip like this, and a lot of people, they'll sign up for our newsletter and, you know, start following us online, and they'll say, I'm going to do that one day. And I totally understand. Sometimes it takes people 5, 6, even 10 years before they know they can finally do it. And that's fine. You know, I totally get that. You know, not everyone's lucky enough to be able to be paid to go on these trips like I am. So, you know, not everyone can take off a week or two of work, and, you know, depending where we go. You mentioned Europe. We're going to be doing that Netherlands trip every other year, and hopefully adding on some other countries in Europe. I've got my eye on either Germany or Czech Republic to combine with the Netherlands. So that would be 2024. But, you know, all these trips are so much fun, and we have a lot of people who come back and go on multiple ones, and they want to go on every single one. But, you know, if anyone is listening to this and thinks it might be something they'd like, just, you know, sign up for a newsletter, follow us on social media, and keep in touch. And I totally get it that you might not be able to do it this year or next year, but one day, you know, we'll be there for you. I don't plan on stopping this anytime soon. That's for sure.
And one thing you say, you go to Japan like September-ish, because I've heard like the summers there can be brutal.
Yeah, I mean, it
sounds like a bad time of year, September.
Yeah, it's a tropical climate. It's still really hot in September, but nowhere near as bad as July, August. And, you know, it'll rain. It's hot. It's humid. But there's a lot of domes. You guys talking about domes.
There you go.
There's a lot of domes, and some of the domes are really unique and cool. So that helps a lot. And it's, you know, it's all summer long is pretty hot in Japan. Not gonna lie. It's not an easy thing to be trouncing around that country, but you know, we take our time and make sure that you know, no one's pushing it too hard, because our trips are, you know, they're not, it's a lot of moving around. That's partly why we started offering the Tokyo trip, because some folks are like, hey, I'm going on vacation. It's hot here. I'm traveling around. I want to be able to just kind of to chill if I want to as well. Yeah. And, you know, for the Japan trip, if you're going to 12 ballparks in 15 days, like, as much as I'd like to say that, oh yeah, you know, there's plenty of downtime. Like, there's not, you know.
Yes.
So,
the downtime is relaxing in a ball game, it sounds like.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
That's when,
and knowing me, I'd be running around. I'd want to get there earlier, just run around the ballpark for like an hour, just taking as much in as possible.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that sounds like heaven to me. I would not be asking for less, but
I want to sneak into,
okay.
Is it Zoom Zoom Stadium that has like a little area where you can like get on bikes and like watch it from the outfield? I think that's
no kidding.
I thought that was the one I saw. I was like, what the heck is this?
Amazing. So amazing. Well, Anna knows, because it's super humid there. I grew up in Arizona, so it's hotter than the sun. So like the heat, there's many things that keep me up at night, but heat isn't one of them. If it's for baseball related, I'm in, no matter how much I sweat.
Exactly. That's right.
Yeah. My mom moved to Galveston, Texas. She used to live in Arizona. I'm like, what is wrong with you? Like, you went from the super hottest place ever to it's a different type of hot in Texas.
Yeah, it's definitely humid. Like, especially if you're talking Galveston. I mean, you're there right on the Gulf Coast. Yeah, that's humidity. That's real. So
yes. Yes.
And this guy for someone who's lived in Texas and Florida there, Anna.
Oh, that's right. Florida as well. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I would say Florida is more humid, but I was also further south in Florida. So you get down to Houston, you get down to Galveston. You know, I always say, when people say we're going to visit Houston, I say, good luck trying to breathe, because it's humid. It's just like you're swimming through the air there.
Yeah.
It's the truth. It's the truth. So I totally get that. And we're talking about that you were gonna go, but I think that it's been delayed. Okinawa. So what is the unique thing about Okinawa?
Yeah, so Okinawa, for those who don't know, it's an island that's it's part of Japan technically, but it's farther south, so closer to the equator, as in it's warmer. They have a pretty unique culture there, and that's where they have their spring training, or at least I think 8 of the 12 teams, I believe, have their spring training on Okinawa. And a lot of people know that the name Okinawa because it was a big part of World War II, and so like if you're a history buff, there's actually some pretty unique stuff there. But yeah, we're thinking of doing it this year, but I decided to just focus on next year, so we have a full year to plan it, of going to spring training in Okinawa in February 2024. It's a beach resort type island. We'll be there in February, where it's not like hot, and you're not going to be like sunbathing every day, but it's very nice, especially for February. We'll be staying on the water with beautiful views, and then you can walk to a couple of the spring training sites, and then everywhere else is just, it's like staying in Phoenix for spring training, where every team is within a short drive of where you're staying. And it's the spring training in Japan is just like the US, where they have the backfields where guys are working out. It's very the players are very accessible. They play scrimmages during the day that you can, and practices that you can just walk up to, no charge. Then on weekends and holidays, which we'll try to overlap with a holiday, they'll have proper ticketed games. They're usually all day games. And it's not such a tourist destination like what MLB spring training has become, which is something that I'm excited about, because it kind of feels like you're really in the know that you go in there. Japan is legendary for their feverish fans, and so fans will show up and go to the games, but you have to fly there, and it's just not such a thing, especially because their spring training is just the first month is in Okinawa. Then the second month they do like a full exhibition schedule in their home ballpark. So most fans will just wait, to scratch their itch once the team does their preseason schedule at home. So it's kind of a like I said, you feel like you're in the know. Like it's only the super hardcore fans there, and we haven't done this tour yet, so I'm super excited to do it. And it basically just came from feedback from our guests who just can't get enough of Japanese baseball.
Wow.
Our guests, a lot of guests just keep coming back on our tours. I mean, the camaraderie is a big part of it. You end up, a lot of people, they come on our tours because they think, oh, Japanese baseball, I've heard it's interesting. I heard the fans are unique. I'm curious. I want to expand my ballpark, checklist. And then they come back because the camaraderie of the group, like you're traveling with people who love baseball, who have an interest in travel, and, are kind of curious about seeing this spectacle in another place. And those two things alone, make everyone have enough in common to really get along. And so, I'm lucky that we have a great community, and they keep wanting to come back. And people have always heard about Okinawa, and a lot of our fans are baseball travelers. They go to spring training, they go to the College World Series, they go to the Field of Dreams game. They get it. They try to do it all. So they say, hey, I got to go to Japan spring training. If MLB spring training is this fun, then I got to do Japan. So we're going to do that next year, and I'm really excited. And I expect good things, and if it goes as well as I hope it is, then it'll just be part of our normal annual menu of trips.
Oh, that is super cool. So, I actually have a connection here, and this will all bring it around. Which so Kevin and I actually have some superhero identities that we're going to reveal right now.
I think Shane knows the answer. Be like, wait, what?
The reason why we know each other is actually through professional wrestling. When I moved to Los Angeles in 1997, we started going to wrestling shows, and shortly after that, we were training to be lucha libre wrestlers. And I know that from looking at us, you would never expect that. But get this. So you talked about Fairbanks. I wrestled in Fairbanks in 2001. I wrestled in Tokyo, Osaka, Shizuoka, but also Okinawa in 2004 and 2005.
Wow.
And but through our love of baseball and music and stuff like that and pop culture, we'll be friends forever because of that. But we have this little pro wrestling brought us together, and we have other friends. In fact, on our regular show on Tuesday, Cowboy Jack Durango, also a pro wrestler. Angelo Trinidad, it was a ring announcer. So pro wrestling actually helped facilitate a friendship of we're like, hey, we love baseball just as much, if not more than all of this. Let's just get on and talk about this. And so when I heard you were going to Okinawa, I was like, wow, I've actually been there once in a very, very odd way. Yep.
We're going to need some photographic evidence of that.
Okay, I will definitely send it to you. I always say the disco machine. I will send that to you. I like to say that he lived a good life and he's no longer around. But yeah, it was actually a thing, and I can actually say that's actually a thing.
Yeah, I mean, I wrestled too, but I did none of that stuff that he did. Unfortunately for me, but that's all right. I'm still healthy. That's the main thing. And the funny part is, our love of craft beer and baseball, made us way closer friends in the last 5 years than it ever was during our wrestling days.
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
I want to say a guy came on the Baseball Bucket List podcast. You might know him, because he told me about your guys' show, The Big Hurt. Alan.
Oh,
Alan Hudson, yes.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah, up in Canada. So,
yeah,
he told me about you guys. So exactly. It's that was only a little surprising to me. So.
Okay, so there you go. All right, we were getting ready to be like, yeah, I'm like, all right, I didn't know you had the Big Hurt on. Right on. Yeah, definitely a friend of the show there.
And
he's on us for the All-Star game. He really wants to go to the All-Star game this year because it is in Seattle.
Right.
Yeah.
He's gonna go to the WB spring training and the World Baseball Classic in Phoenix. Mm-hmm. And I got in touch with him just because he was on your show, Anna. And now we're planning to meet up in Phoenix in March when I'm working the WBC. So
right on.
I mean, it's awesome. You guys mentioned how you've become better friends through this, and then Anna and I have become friends, and we have our overlapping communities, and it's just I always say like Japan always say, we believe in the global and unifying aspects of baseball. And like, it's really true, like it brings people together. And it's so cool that just the four of us here, there's one guy, Alan, the Big Hurt, if you're out there, you're a common denominator for us now.
He was just hitting me up about, because Cowboy Jack on our show, he lives in Peoria, so he was like, hey, I want to get in touch with Jack. I want to hang out with him while I'm out there he's asked me about spring training and all this stuff, and I didn't think he'd be going to the Classic. I'm like, I should have known better. Still wouldn't mind doing that, but I want to do that and the Bananas if I'm going to get out there, and Innings Fest too. I wouldn't mind checking that out.
Oh yeah. And actually, Shane, if you're out there, I think I'm going to be out there the 10th and 11th.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. Well, let's be in touch about that, because I'll be there. I'll be there at that time.
Oh, that's phenomenal.
And,
I'm really looking forward.
I mean, have you been able to see any World Baseball Classics games, Anna?
No.
Not yet. Okay. I didn't know if any came to Texas before, because
we
were fortunate last
I haven't had a chance to. Really? Did you get to?
Yeah, because it was in LA and San Diego.
Right,
we were lucky enough.
easy for you then. Yeah. But I've been pricing flights and tickets. I've been eyeballing it because it's I mean, Phoenix is fairly close to get to. I mean, it shouldn't be that hard for me, but we'll see.
It's worth it. I actually went to the Korea Japan final at Dodger Stadium. What was that, like 2009, 7-9, something like that?
I don't remember. I'm trying to remember the exact year.
Yeah, and like Yu Darvish was on that team. Ichiro was talking trash. He was like Darth Vader. It was so amazing. It was like going to a World Cup game for a final. And then I was at the one at Dodger Stadium that when the United States won that one. But then we went down to San Diego, and there's like who made that catch?
Adam Jones.
Adam Jones made that catch.
Forget that one.
Crazy catch in center. We were there for that. It's so cool. Fun. It's so different. And it reminds me of like when we're talking about Banana Ball, it has a different swagger to it because there's so much like just more. I remember that one. There's a famous one, I think, when Yadier Molina threw the ball to Javi Baez and he did that no look tag at second. It was like those types of things wouldn't happen in a regular game, and it's like just that type of that super wear your heart on your sleeve type of play. It's so fun. It's so
there's
fun.
A different kind of intensity from the fans with the nationalism aspect of it. I mean, went to Mexico and I'm seeing like all Puerto Rico and all these other countries, and I'm going, man, these fans are. I'm like, whoa, you're not going to see this at games, at regular baseball games here in the U.S. Being on the game and the team, you're going to have some people, some passive fans, some kids are excited. Some, the thing I'm talking about Angel games where I said earlier, by August, it's going to be 20,000 of us. And, I'm screaming. So I see some kids trying to scream and I'll scream to help the kid and get them all excited when they get the crowd going,
Yeah.
He'll tell you I'm loud.
It's so fun. It's definitely worth it.
Yeah. I would love to go. I mean, that's what I've heard from folks on the show who have had a chance to go either to a WBC game or just an international game in general. Is it gets compared often to international soccer, international football, whatever you want to call it. That kind of always on your feet, always cheering. And Shane has shared that I've not been to Japan either for baseball, but that is kind of the same atmosphere with the very orchestrated and calculated cheers and so much more involved fan base than you're right, Kevin, like just kids running around yelling and screaming for no reason.
And and Japan's definitely number one on my list. Sorry, I mean I love to go to basketball, but Japan for baseball is still number one. The only time I went was the December, January, so the only thing I got to do was I got to go to the Hall of Fame, which is right there at the Tokyo Dome. So at least I got to take that in, which is really, really cool.
Yeah. And I saw Tokyo Giants versus Hiroshima Carp at the Tokyo Dome. And then I went to the Hall of Fame as well. So I was just lucky during my time there. And to bring it all around, I remember, isn't the referee Yoshino?
There's a guy we know. Yeah, there's a guy we know. I've never met him, but I know he's a gigantic baseball fan. I know he goes to games all the time, and he came out here, and a friend of ours was like hooking him up going to games. I'm going, man, that guy's living the life right there.
Yeah, he's actually a Japanese pro wrestling referee, but he's a huge baseball fan. But he actually was a section cheerleader for the Hanshin Tigers. And so I was like, oh my God, like, and he was like, he came and brought all this like Hanshin Tigers gear for me. I was like, oh, this is the greatest thing ever. So again, the baseball like pulls everybody together. I love what you're doing, Shane. Anna, it's like when I look at all the stuff you're doing for Baseball Bucket List, it's bringing a community together. And I think that's the thing that I love, because baseball is all about memories. It's about creating memories and just celebrating history. And that's what Kevin and I do. We always look like, oh, let's go here. And because it's all about like understanding our place in history as well, but also gleaning from those experiences. So, and again, we wouldn't have known you had we not done all this. And I feel very, very happy that we got to have this talk today.
Yeah, definitely. I think, that's what's going to save baseball. You kind of alluded to the fact that it's losing some of its luster, especially with the younger generation. But I think if there's more of this type of community and sharing and cultural experiences, that's what will save baseball, because you're absolutely right. Like that's it. That's the driving factor behind all of it. So I can't thank y'all enough for letting me tag along tonight.
Tremendous. Yeah. It was a pleasure to meet you.
Yeah, well said, Anna. And yeah, thank you guys for having me on again. I was so happy when you asked me to come back. You guys are so much fun, and I'm happy to hear that maybe we'll be able to see each other in Phoenix for the World Baseball Classic. And yeah, Anna, if you I didn't know that you're considering it, but for all three of you, if you can find yourself to the city, I know a guy. So we're all part of the family here. So
remember, we're still on the air. I'm just kidding.
I'll edit this in post.
No, yeah, I'd love to see you guys again in person. So
because
thanks.
And I can tell you guys, we only went to 2 games last year. Michael and I to 2 games of the West Coast tour Shane did, and it literally we're just like we feel like the ragtag guys just jumping in because we're like, oh, these are 2 local games, and literally Shane's like, hey, talk to this guy, meet these guys, and he instantly put us in. Everyone just took us right in, and we were just. I'm like, wow, we're right in immediately. And we had someone chat. Me and these other guy next to me were just chatting each other off. Like we're watching the game at the same time. We're just having to have a great, really, really great conversation,
Awesome.
And also you get nice seats too. I want to say that before I go to these games,
it's worth it.
Yeah, we had great seats in the Dodger game. I mean, we were like 2 rows behind the dugout at Angel Stadium too, which great. You can't complain about that.
Our colleague Angelo Trinidad, his wife was talking. We went to an Angels game one time. We were just sitting there and we're watching, but we're also like chatting like just the whole game. We're talking the whole game. His wife, who didn't really kind of know, how we kind of take in games, she goes, "Did you guys watch any of the game? You guys were talking the whole time." And I said, "We knew everything that was going on during that whole game." And we had a whole full conversation. We're having fun. We knew counts. We knew like the situations. We knew everything. And I think that's the kind of like, I don't know, I don't even know what to call it. It's just like one of those things that's how we consume games. It's just our friendship, but also like, I was like, oh, that guy ran into an out or whatever. Like we knew it. It's so fun.
It's perfect for that. It's the best sport as a spectator. It just is, like the pace of play, the natural breaks, the cadence, the rhythm of it. It opens up so much opportunity for conversation while still knowing, like you said, exactly what's going on. So that's why I love it so much. It's a great vehicle for driving relationships and experiencing different cultures, and sometimes I'm like, we don't deserve baseball, but I'll take advantage of it since we do have it.
Exactly. Well, Shane and Anna, we totally appreciate you coming on today. We'll definitely share all the information that you need to get in touch, to get on that Alaska tour, to get on all the other Japan Ball tours. We definitely love what both of you are doing. So keep it up, please. And whenever you need us, we're here for you. And that is it for the interview tonight. Thank you, Shane. Thank you, Anna. Thank you, Kevin, for joining. I'm Michael Mondragon, and we'll see you next time. Take care. Good night.